You are now tuned in to LTV Kenya.
Honorable Dr. Babu Owino. I was born and bred in Kisumu, stayed at Nyalenda slums, trying to make ends meet at Nyalenda slums, went to Central Primary School in Kisumu, and in Central Primary School, God blessed me to be a leader. So from class 3 to class 7, I was a prefect. Then in class 7, I was an assistant head boy. Then class 8, I was a head boy. But life was not a bed of roses. Life was not about marrying around. Life was full of challenges. My mother took the responsibility of raising us up. We are 3 in our family, my sister, brother, and I am the last born. Mom resolved the fate of selling changa in Nyalenda slums. You know what changa is? Please don't use it, don't misuse it, and don't abuse it. So don't attempt it. It is not good for you. But that is the only way we could make ends meet. After Dad passed on when we were in class 3. So Mom had to struggle, and during those days, it was the Nyayo era where changa was banned. It was an illicit brew. Policemen could come to our house, get people drinking changa, beat people in the house. So as a child, I grew up with the trauma that some of you may be having, frustrations, bitterness, grief, and all the poisons of life. Mom had an opportunity of only getting for us school fees, for our siblings and myself, food to eat, clothes to put on, money for fees. But that wasn't enough, because she could not also perform the role of a man in the house, which she was really trying to do so much. Having struggled that much, seeing my mom being beaten, crying together in the house with our kids, my mom also crying, developed high blood pressure, used to be very sickling a lot. In the midnight, past midnight, we used to carry Mom to the hospital, calling Ngwari. Then there was no motorbike, the boda boda. There was a boda boda called Ngwari, which was a bicycle that was being used to take Mom to the hospital. That is at Russia, famously known as Russia. And growing in that lifestyle, we were left to grow, where at some point, only Mom would be asking in the evening if the kids are back at home. So we used to live like chicken. Not eating chicken, but eating like chicken and eating with chicken. What chicken? Eat. Because chicken was a very prestigious meal. But she did it. When I finished my KCPE examinations, I didn't go to Central Primary School to get my results. I was always in position 3 in primary school. God blessed me with brains, which I believe that God has blessed you with, and I know that you will utilize it well. Because if you leave it to rust, it will multiply you by 0 and raise you to power 0 and get 0. But if if well utilized, you will multiply it by infinity and raise it to power infinity and become infinity. When the results came out, Mom went to Central Primary School because she told me to go and get my results, not for fear of failing, but I knew there was no school fees. I knew there was no life after primary school. So what did we do? She went to get the results. Fortunately, I was called at Kisumu Boys High School later on, received a calling letter, but I told Mom that I can't go to high school because I used to see Mom struggling a lot. So Mom called all of us, my sister, my brother, and myself. Then we decided who was to be educated in that family. So the rest of my family members dropped their education in support of myself. And that is why I decided to do several degrees. One for my mother, one for my sister, one for my brother, another one for myself, and I'm also doing for my relatives. Because I said that I would never fail. I didn't want to fail because it is expensive to fail. So when I refused to go to high school, Mom called the area chief, called Chief Kabisai. He's still the chief up to now, to talk to me. Because this brilliant young boy has just passed, but he doesn't want to go to high school. So the chief advised me, and I asked the chief one simple question. Do you have the school fees for me to go to high school? Because selling changa, to sell 500 milliliters, hiyo chupa ya maji, one tot of changa was 10 shillings then. To sell it, you get a total of 500 Kenya shillings. To accumulate the 500 Kenya shillings to the school fee, which was around 15,000 Kenya shillings, was next to impossible. Then I told the chief, if you can get school fees for me, then I will join high school. The chief said, just go to school. I remember clearly his words. And I called him to parliament when I was elected to see where he took me. Because I'd given up in life. So the chief said, just go to school. Don't worry about fee. Leave it to us. Fee will just come. Then after that, we called for a fundraiser. The guest of honor, like the way I've been called here as a chief guest, was very much willing to support us. His donation was 200 Kenya shillings, the highest amount ever that we collected. But so many people came there because they really loved education and wanted me to go to school. Because a child belongs to the community. We were helped. I was helped. That's why I'm here to also help you. Were it not for the community, I would not be here. Then, the total amount of money that we raised was 900 Kenya shillings. And you know you can't call for another fundraiser almost immediately because now people will think that watu wanataka kuomoka na sisi. So after that, I joined Kisumu Boys High School. I'm one of the few students who had nothing, didn't even carry a Bible to go to school with. I just went. I remember I bought my blazer at the stage. They were selling those second-hand blazers. I bought it at 150 shillings. But I was proud of it because I was the most unique student with it in school. But also the principal of Kisumu Boys High School really did a lot, contributing to my education, because he never used to send me away. He understood me. Did my Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. And on the last day, when we were doing KCSE biology practicals, that is when now things were tough again. Policemen came in our house, found me selling changa, then arrested me. By then, the policemen didn't want to hear anything to do with education. If you tell them that you are in school, you would become their public enemy number one. So I was arrested, taken to Central Primary School. By then, Mom was very, very sick in the hospital, admitted. Taken to Central Police Station. Then in the morning, I started screaming and hitting the door of the police cell. Then an officer came who was the OCS of Central Police Station, an officer called Mr. Wanyama. Right now he has retired, but a great friend of mine. Actually he asked me, young man, why are you disturbing us here? And I told him, I have KCSE examinations, biology practicals. So I have to go and do it, otherwise everything will be shattered. I remember him putting me in a Land Cruiser. From Central Police Station to Kisumu Boys is just 3 minutes drive. Went to Kisumu Boys because I couldn't go back home to change. By the time I would be back, exams would be over. Then what did I do? Went, did my exams. Cut the long story short, then we were still selling changa. Passed my examinations, KCSE. Called at the University of Nairobi. At the same time, I got a scholarship to do A-levels at Millennium Academy doing the Cambridge system because of how I performed. Scored 72 points out of 84, which was a big try for me. The first time I remember Honorable Gladys buying a newspaper to check for my name in the whole nation. I looked for my number from number 1 to number 100, I missed. Then I started looking from 100 to 1, I missed. Then I opened another page, checking Nyanza province then. Checked my name. From number 1 to number 100, I missed. Then 100 to 1, and I missed. Then I remember it was drizzling. I was with a friend of mine called Tom Boyer. He was at Agoro Sare. He scored an airplane. At some point when we closed school, I'm the one who was teaching Tom mathematics and chemistry. It was disappointing. Another lady at Kisumu Boys called Sheila Okumu, now a doctor. I was teaching her accounting and physics and maths. Got 84 A's, 84 points. Then I saw tears just roll down my cheeks. Then I said, I'm done again. So before I was called at the University of Nairobi, I was called at Egerton University to do computer science, at Egerton University. Then I had a neighbor who used to drink in our house and said, if you go to Egerton University, you will come back here and you start treating chicken. May his soul rest in peace. He was called Jamkono because he was a very, very wise man. And Jamkono always believed in me. He said that if his own kids cannot make it, he will always support me by giving me moral support. So I used to read. When I was in school, I used to sell changa up to around 2 a.m. because you can't send away clients. So Jamkono just used, after finishing selling, by 2 a.m., started reading books. Jamkono sits with me up to 5 a.m. I drank lots of coffee, and I don't like coffee up to date. I put my legs in cold water. But Jamkono always believed in me, and he told me one thing. Babu, one thing you must never do. Do not engage in relationships now. Do not have girls now. Do not have a girlfriend now. Do not engage in sexual activities now. Go to the university. At the university, after succeeding, and I'm quoting him, if you want to marry one, he used to marry, not to marry. If you want to marry one, marry. If you want to marry two, marry. If you want to marry three, marry. So this man saw something in me and believed in me. So I dropped Egerton. I didn't go to Egerton. I said, I'm not coming back to treat chicken and cows. So then I called my cousin called John Omondi, who used to stay in Nairobi. And I told him, I want to come to Nairobi and hustle with you. So Mosh said that, but you did well in your KCC. Why don't you just go to the university? I said, no, I'm not going to the university. So Mosh said, okay, come to Nairobi. I went to Nairobi, a place called Satellite, Kabiria. We stayed in one room with Omosh. Omosh had no job. He was a security officer. No serious job. We were paying a rent of 1,500 Kenya shillings. And one day Omosh came back with a newspaper in the house. So before I left Kisumu to Nairobi, I told my mom, I'm leaving, I'm going to Nairobi. My mom started crying and said, why are you not going to the university? I told her, I'm going to look for my life, and one day, and I quote, I will come back here in two forms. One, I will come back here in a coffin, or I will come back here driving. Those are the things I told my mom. And I left because I was so disappointed. So disappointed. There is no single day that I was out of top 3 at Kisumu Boys. The first student in Kenya, and any of my former classmates can confirm this, who identified a mistake set in mathematics paper 2, KCSE, was Babu Owino. When I raised it, they said there can't be a mistake in KCSE, therefore you are wrong. After 40 minutes, the invigilator came back and said, indeed there is a mistake. Correct. My former schoolmates can clarify that. There is no single day I was out of top 3 in Kisumu Boys, and we were 304 candidates. So I made a decision. So when you are saying that you are learning about decision making in your university, in your various groups, I was so proud of myself because I made a decision that has made me be here today. So went to Satellite. Omosh came with a newspaper one day, looking through the newspaper, reading the newspaper, saw a scholarship being offered at Millennium Academy. Then Omosh was the first person to tell me, why don't you apply here and just waste time there instead of sitting here idling in the house? So I applied for the scholarship at Millennium Academy, was successfully admitted at Millennium Academy. I was the head boy, Millennium Academy, for 2 terms. At Kisumu Boys, I was a student leader for a period of the 4 years that I was at Kisumu Boys. I was to be made the head boy, but because I didn't have money to board, the head boy position was a preserve of the boarders, the people who were, the students who were boarding. At Millennium Academy, we did an exam, international examinations. In mathematics, I became number 2 in the whole world. The first person was from Spain who got 98%, I got 97%. Then with that, my director told me, Babu, I was given a scholarship to do actuarial science at Southampton University in southern London, but I was given 70% scholarship, so I couldn't afford 30%, which was over 2 million Kenya shillings. So my director advised me to pursue actuarial science at the University of Nairobi, where I applied and was successfully admitted. While at Millennium Academy, there's a parent who approached me called Margaret Ron, works with the United Nations. That day I scooped so many prizes for maths, accounts, physics, and chemistry. She told me, Babu, I want you to help my son at a fee. The son was my classmate, is now an engineer in the US Navy, Miss Engineer Larry Rono. Then she asked me where I was coming from. I told her my history, my life story, and she offered that I move in their house to stay there. I helped the son, my classmate. In return, she was providing accommodation, clothing, food, and transport to the school. I went and discussed with the Mosh and gladly joined the family. After that, long story short, applied at the University of Nairobi, Actuarial Science, was called at the University of Nairobi, joined in 2008, graduated in 2012 with first class honors. I remember we were only 17 out of a class of around 200. After that, I did my master's in Actuarial Science. After that, I joined School of Law, University of Nairobi, did masters in law. My first master's in law is in public international law, taking my second master's in law, democracy and governance. At Millennium Academy, I did 6 diploma courses. At the University of Nairobi, I became a student leader. I was the longest serving student leader on earth. They were calling me the Mugabe of the University of Nairobi. But I was elected a record 4 times, for 4 terms. Served as the president of the Kenya Universities Organization and the president of SONU, Students Organization of Nairobi University. Then after that, I knew things are now shaping up. When I joined the university, I knew things were shaping up for the better. Long story short, went to Embakasi East constituency.
LTV.
For more and comprehensive updates, press the YouTube subscribe button above and enjoy. Remember to press the bell button for notifications whenever we post.
Home of the best.